Welcome to Dr. Charles Speaks, a podcast for now. You've joined us for a special series of transformational talks, selected exclusively from Dr. Charles's corporate success calls. The 15-minute calls are designed to encourage leaders, activate your thought life, and prepare you for the challenges ahead. Dr. Charles joins every call with a blend of his personal experiences, his expertise as a John Maxwell certified mentor and coach, and of course, his more than 30 years of exceptional experience in both corporate America and ministry. Get motivated with Dr. Charles Speaks, a transformational talk from the Red Line on today's podcast, inspiring excellence and generating results.
Good morning and happy Monday. I want to thank you again for your joining me on the Red Line, the Corporate Success Call. This 15-minute call is designed to start your week off on a positive note and to inspire you to continue. That is, continue to challenge yourself. That's what I'm talking about in your personal leadership growth. None of us have arrived already. We have room to continuously grow for the rest of our lives. And so this morning, I'm excited to share with you over the next 15 minutes a message entitled Empowering Others Through Leadership. That is, empowering others through leadership. There's not one person, man or woman, that can do their jobs all by themselves. It's just not enough time in the day, time in the week. You can work 12 hours a day, 60 hours a week, and there'll still be something to do. And so building your team and making your team better and empowering them and giving them the opportunity to share their creativity, to share in the experience of growing together. I ran across a quote today, and it simply says, "Talent wins games, teamwork wins championships." And that is so true. I'll say it again. Talent wins games, but teamwork wins championship. So leading well is not about enriching yourselves, but rather it's about empowering others. That's the key. That's what I want to talk about with the time that we have this morning, because that ought to make everybody feel good and take some of the weight off of yourself and off of your shoulders, because you don't have to do it all by yourself. We've got to begin trusting our team and being able to have insight and vision as to what each individual member of your team can bring to the table to make everyone successful. When you are secure as a leader, you will have no issue, no problem with giving power to others. I can remember early on in my career, I didn't know better, but I would use the saying, "It's my way," or "It's the highway." Boy, I'm embarrassed to even admit that, but that's what I said back then. But today I recognize that delegation and empowering people makes all the difference, because when you bring all of the diverse minds and you bring all of the experiences together and you come up with a consensus, you'll be able to make a sound, educated decision as to which way to go. You know, Theodore Roosevelt, he once said, "The best executive is the one who has sense enough to pick good people to do what he or she wants done, and to have restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it." That speaks volume. And as we think about in my business, and I think about it at times, how we're going to outdo and outperform the previous year, because in our business of sales, every round goes higher and higher. If you make your goal for the previous year, guess what? The goal is going to increase the following year. And you're going to need to come up with some new strategies and new tactics in terms of how you're going to deliver on those objectives. And so it is wise to be a observer of what each individual brings to the table. And that we find out by asking questions and examining the work that each and others do. One of the things that we do in our business, what I do each and every day, is that our people bring what we call BDPs. What do you mean, BDPs? Best Demonstrated Practices. And that helps others be able to take on some of the ideals and be able to share them and be able to execute them in doing what they do. You know, I think about how we go to business, we drive for results, and we make others around us better. So the objective should be in leadership to lead others by helping them reach their potential by building them up. And how do we build up the folks on our team? How do we build them up? By giving them resources. Number 2, giving them the authority. And number 3, giving them the responsibility. And then number 4, then turn them loose to achieve that which you have given them. You'll be amazed what you will get out of those that you allow to be creative, to think forward, and to look at a situation and make it better. You know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just simply have to make it better. When Ford made the Model T and it all came in just one color, you could buy it, it was black. That's how the automobile industry started with Ford. He had the Model T. Well, we moved on and we were able, GM came up with other cars and selections and other colors to different cars. And so you see how the cars have evolved over the years. And someday, if you live long enough, we'll see flying cars and being able to navigate through the skies and try to make our way to our destinations or where we're going. It may sound far-fetched, but it can happen. And so that took a creative mind. That took some practice, that took some failing, that took some times to really reflect on what you're doing, to examine the problem or the issue. That took time. And that's so important in sharing with others and getting buy-in and getting insights from people. So the objective is to lead people and to help people and provide them with resources. All of this means being on their side, encouraging them, giving them the power and helping them to succeed. You know, everyone has a position. I love to use sports analogies. I think about a baseball team and the different positions that each player plays on the team. The first baseman, he's got to have a first base mitt. The second baseman, the shortstop, third base, they have to have infielders' gloves. The outfielders have to have a larger glove to catch those fly balls. And the catcher has a special mitt for the pitcher throwing the ball to the catcher. And all of these players come together to catch the ball, to perform on the field and come off of the field and hit the ball and win the game. Ultimately, the championship is their goal. But to bring them together, as I said, you can have all the talent in the world, but you're going to need a team that works together and plans together and supports each other all the way to victory. This may go against what you may have been taught, but looking back, I can remember 2 leadership games that we were taught as kids. One of them was King of the Hill and Follow the Leader was the other. And so you remember what was the objective of King of the Hill. You remember that? The objective was to knock other people down so that you could be the leader. And so today, in today's world and corporate environment and growing environment, we need everybody at the top of the hill so that we can all win together, plan together, and be victorious holding up the trophy at the end of the day. And then you think about follow the leader. And that goes back to that earlier thinking I said, it's my way or the highway, do as I say. That has changed, and if you're still in that mindset, I'm challenging you to change that mindset and begin to bring a consensus in and bring people in on the discussion and on the big plan. You'd be amazed of what can happen and how the team will gel together. What's the benefit of it? People get excited about having ownership. People get excited about having something that they contribute versus someone in a leadership role, giving them the script to follow and not to deviate from that script. But when people on your team are able to see the foundation of what you're standing on and where you're trying to go, and you're asking them for assistance to help get there and get everyone there together. And so what was the point of follow the leader? It was to do things that you knew the followers couldn't do. All the while, this separated yourself from them and made the leader look more powerful. You remember that game? That was what it was all about, to give the followers something that they couldn't do. And so the problem with these games, whether it's King of the Hill or Follow the Leader, is that to win, you have to make all the other people lose. That doesn't sound right, does it? Because we want everybody to be participants and everyone to be winners. These games, King of the Hill and Follow the Leader, these games are based on insecurity and are opposite of the way to raise up leaders. And so we're going to take that in on this call today, is that you have an opportunity to get smarter, to grow, and to become larger, because when you bring more people in and you take their suggestions and you put them up on a board and you look at them all together and you challenge one another in terms of critiquing and how you can make it even better, you'll be amazed how things come together. The number one enemy of empowerment is really the fear of losing what we have. The number two enemy is resistance to change. You know, most people don't like change. We've done it this way all the time. And you remember I've said before on other podcasts, I've said the statement of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so in that kind of thinking, you've got to be able to realize that there are ways to improve it. There are ways to make it better. There are ways to anticipate what the future may bring, because after all, if you're sticking with the same old, it can become obsolete. It can become old and stale. But when you're continuously adding in fresh ideals and fresh insights and asking questions among your people and listening to them and looking for ways to bring in some of those things that will work for the success for the entire project. So, leaders, I'm calling you out today. Be a change agent. You know, great leaders, they gain authority by giving it away. Why? Because the best leaders have a strong sense of self-worth. They believe in themselves, and they believe their mission, and they believe in their people. I want to give you two nuggets before we close it out on today. Number one, the main ingredient for empowering others is a high belief in people. If you believe in others, they'll believe in themselves. That's really a powerful 1-2 punch, because you have the confidence and then you give them the confidence, and the two will make a dynamic duel. That second point I want to leave with you is that look for people's greatest strengths and envision how they could leverage those strengths to achieve significant things. So I close today with this. If you aspire to be a great leader, you must live by the law of empowerment. What have we been talking about? Empowering others through leadership. Talent wins games. Teamwork wins championships. Thank you, my friends, for joining me once again on the Red Line Corporate Success Call. You have been listening to Dr. Charles. Have a great day. Now let's go back to work.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Charles Speaks. Visit drcharlesred.com for booking info for your ministry, business, or leadership team. Get info about the Red Line, a 15-minute corporate success call each Monday morning with Dr. Charles. Follow Dr. Charles on all social media at Dr. Charles Red. Subscribe to the podcast here for every episode of Dr. Charles Speaks. Thanks for joining us. Like Dr. Charles always says, no matter what, never, never, never give up. Until next time.